Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a subject that, many of you might, they might not like it, they might not enjoy it, they want to avoid it. However, I want to give you the best tips of how to make clan versus clan points, pretty easily. This is one of those things where, most people would say like, oh, it's a whale war, it's only for spenders to do, and so on and so forth. However, I kind of disagree, because there's actually easy ways of doing points. As long as you're in a certain point in the game, you can easily do 300,000-400,000 CvC points without spending at all. So what I'm gonna show you is, that's why I call it like the ultimate CvC guide. I'm gonna show you the best and easiest way to actually make clan versus clan points, aka CvC points. Normally, you can just click here on the clan versus clan icon, and if you go to the objectives, if you click each and every single one of these ones, it's going to tell you what's the best way to do points, or what gives you points. So we have the champion objectives, campaign objectives, potion keep objectives, minotaur, all the dungeons in here, then arena objectives, demon lord, gear, forge, and miscellaneous objectives. The one at the bottom is just straight up using gems. But there's actually ways to make this be a little bit simpler, as long as you plan accordingly. So obviously the best way to make points, maybe you already know this, but if you do not, you will know now. The best way to make points is through the champion objectives, first of all, by getting legendary champions for the first time. This one straight up gives you the 20,000 points for a new one, plus that extra 10,000, that's 30,000 points. You just get like that in the first go. So as an example, if you, let's say for example, you've been doing the Doom Tower and you've been getting the new, you've been getting the fragment champions, or there was the fragment fusion, you've been saving them. So this is the daily login one, this is the Doom Tower one, again Doom Tower one. So these ones, if I popped them, like I would straight up get 90,000 points. When it comes to the epic one, you would get around like 4,000 points. So it's not really worth it. For the sake of the epics, I would suggest just keep them for the sake of champion chase during a fusion. So that's the best way to do it. Legendary, for example, legendary champions give you 500 points, unless it's a void legendary that gives you 650. So for the sake of clan versus clan, you would prefer to wait and open these ones during a CvC if you're trying to go hard. So this is the first tip. Second one is obviously going, if you go again to the champion objectives, is booking them. So for every legendary tome, let me see what it is. It should be here at the bottom. Where is it? Come on. Okay, upgrading champion skills. So for common 10, uncommon 20, 500 rare, 1,000 epic, and 3,000 for the legendary one. So this is another good tip. Just unless your game is going to be changed, always wait to bulk your legendary or epic champions, or even the rare ones, during clan versus clan, because otherwise, you're missing out on quite a ton of points. So for example, 3,000 points for a legendary tome. If I look at mine, I have 14. That's what, 30,000 by using 10. So that's the equivalent of getting a legendary champion. So this is another good one. Then when it comes to epic tomes, that's 1,000 per book. So because I have 43 books, this would be like what, 43,000 points. So that's straight up 70,000 points that I can do in a minute. Just straight up booking those champions, and boom, that's the max points that I could get. Then obviously there's some other stuff in there, but another one that I want to mention, as I'm just gonna try and mention the best ones, not every single one, because otherwise this video is going to go on for half an hour. But another good thing is ascending the champions, especially legendary ones. So if you ascend the legendary to 6-star, that's 2,500 points. So maybe, maybe you prepare your legendaries, get them to maybe Ascension 4, or maybe don't ascend them at all, and just do all the ascensions during a clan versus clan, because you get what? 250, 300, 400, 900, 1900, then that's what? 5,400 points just by ascending a legendary champion. So if you have 2 or 3, that's another 15, 20,000 points easily done. So this is the part where it comes to the, to the heroes. Also upgrading the Great Hall bonuses, especially if you do the level 10 one, that gives you 5,000 points. Let me just show you a quick example, because I have to do that for myself. So if I just go over here, where I have like my attack that I need to take to level 10, I click upgrade, Upgrade successful, boom, 5,000 points, just like that. Again, pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Then the other ones are like, you know, campaign objectives. If you can farm a nightmare, then yeah, do that. But honestly, when it comes to like nightmare and brutal, they're kind of the same points. So for the campaign is not too crazy. When it comes to potion and minotaur, people don't usually do that because it doesn't give you too many points. Unless you have the 2 times points like it says over here right now, it's not really worth it. It's just a waste of energy to do that. Unless you really want to do it, then yeah, do it during that time. So for example, I'm gonna tell you what I do. Usually I prepare most of my champions and I don't farm scrolls, I don't farm almost anything unless, you know, just my daily energy, and I'm saving every other refill that I can, and I'm farming, for example, minotaur for my champions that I need masteries for. I do that during the clan versus clan. Then when it comes to the other dungeons, dragon, ice golem, fire knight, and spider, the dragon one's the trickiest because it gives you the less. It only gives you 150 points, whereas the ice golem, the fire knight, and the spider, they all give you 300 points. So this is something that normally like endgame people or whales or krakens do, and that's farm spider 25 during CvC, because that takes them really fast. Like, let me show you a quick example on my account. If I go to spider 25, obviously this is not a guide, this is more of a showcase, because if you don't have these crazy champions, you cannot do that. But most people choose to farm spider during CvC if they're trying to, you know, to go hard and have like, you know, tons of energy to saved up or tons of gem to use because they're spenders. Then they straight up go into the spider 25 specifically because stage 25 gives you the most points, and they just jump in there and start doing these the spider. And this, you know, this one, for example, for me usually takes me 12 seconds. I guess this one took me a little bit more because my CC did not land the HP bar on everything, but normally I do that in 12 seconds. So imagine that, 12 seconds farm and I get 300 points. So that's something really, really crazy. Another one that a ton of people are slacking on, and I believe, honestly, in my opinion, that's the most free-to-play way to do CvC points. That is the arena objectives. Because if you go over here and look at the arena objectives, it gives you points for doing the normal arena and gives you points for doing the gold bars. 3v3 arena, which is where you get gold bars from, is the best way to make points, because especially if you're like higher up, even from silver, honestly, you can just put a one-man defense and you can keep farming that over and over again because everybody's doing the same thing. And in order to take advantage the most for that, the day before clan versus clan starts, buy extra refill. So if you go over here in the shop, and then we click the gem shop, you get the opportunity to buy refills like this. 15 gems for the first one, 40 for the second, 50 for the next one, 60, 70, and it keeps going up. So the way that I do it, if I go in the inbox, is look, I buy 1, 2, 3, 4. I usually buy 4 or 5. I already used 1 or 2, but I usually buy 4 or 5 the day before CvC starts. And then when CvC starts, I just keep using them before they expire. And, you know, start to that early, because if you look at myself, one-man defense everywhere. So see, one-man defense, that makes it easy. This is something you would farm in 20-30 seconds, and you get, for example, for me, I think I get like 780 points, something. Let me just do a quick fight. So it's usually, I'm in gold 4, but yeah, the lower you are, you get lesser points, but you still get a ton. So for example, maybe if you're like from gold, you get around 500 points just from doing the one-man defense fights. And like I said, because you're gonna fight one-man defenses, it's gonna be pretty fast. Look at this, 5 seconds, boom, 6 seconds. It might be 10 seconds or like 15 seconds because it transitions, but look at that. I got 780 points just by doing a quick fight. So if we calculate this one, I'm gonna give an example. I do 780 points and I do around 50 or 60 per day. So let's say I just do 50 per CvC day and you have 3 CvC days. That's 39,000 points just from doing 3v3 fights times 3 days. That's almost 120,000 points. And it's free to play, like I said, because you just need to buy those with gems, which you're gonna have plenty enough gems because it doesn't cost you like 300. They're pretty cheap if you buy them right. Plus the one that you get from the advanced quests. That's 120,000 points almost just by doing 3v3. If you're low levels, it's gonna be maybe between 80 to 100,000. That's still a lot of points that you can get by just doing free to play stuff, and that's, you know, simple fights, and you get simple points. Anything else? Let me see what else could be interesting in here. Obviously, if you want to buy masteries, during CvC, because again, for every gem you use, you get 1 point. So if you buy somebody's masteries, That's 800 points straight up used. Another thing that's, you know, it's not a priority to go crazy on, that's forge objectives. So for the sake of the forge, you don't necessarily need to do all the forging randomly whenever you get them. No, save them all again to do it during the clan versus clan, because you can get a decent amount of points. You know, you get lots of forging materials from the Doom Tower, you get lots of forging materials from the faction wars. So by keeping to save, by saving to do all your crafting at the forge during CvC, that's gonna give you a ton of you know, a ton of gear, a ton of points, and at the same time a ton of silver, because if it's the lower one that you get, you just sell it and then you get more points. Another thing that you can do after that is go to the gear objectives and look at this. If you use glyphs, for every 6-star glyph that you use, that's 500 points. And for every piece of equipment that you upgrade to 6-star, you get 1500 points. So maybe save your, you know, save your gear at levels, I don't know, 11 or 15, and then just max it out during CvC. If you're lucky enough to have something like this, an artifact enhancement going on at the same time, you can double dip. You can get CvC points, you can upgrade your gear, sorry, triple dip, because you upgrade the gear, and then you also get some free rewards just by doing that from the sake of the artifact enhancement. Even if you don't have an artifact enhancement, you can get a ton of points by upgrading your gear to 16. Just, you know, keep it at 15 like I mentioned, and then take it at 16 during clan versus clan. Maybe there's like, obviously some other stuff would be pulling shards, but I never recommend to people to pull shards. I guess, you know what, if you're a whale and maybe there's a 10x like now, there's always a 10x, but if there's one that you care about, like the wither, you can pull, and if you get her again, that's a ton of points. I never suggest though, like I said, pulling shards, because that's just a trap. Keep your shards for the sake of 2 times, for the sake of guarantees, or for the sake of, you know, when there's a fusion. But yeah, these are the top tips that I suggest for you to, you know, to get CvC points. If you guys think of something else that's really efficient, leave it in the comments below, and I can add it in the future if I'm gonna do an updated one. So just to recap, the best ways to do to make clan versus clan points is saving your fragment fusion legendaries and summoning them during the clan versus clan. Then that's booking all of your champions during clan versus clan, focusing on a ton of 3v3 specifically, because that gives you more points than arena, but even arena gives you good points. And then there's forging. Oh yeah, and another one that's pretty good, but obviously this one takes a bit. That's faction wars. If you do stage 21 of faction wars, you get like 2000 points or like 1000 points per one. Let me see again which one. Yeah, it's 1000. This one's not as good as it used to be. I think it used to be like 5000, so it's not too crazy. If you do lower one, it is what it is. You still get more points from the other stuff that I mentioned. But yeah, this is gonna be it for the video today, guys. I hope you enjoy my ultimate, and I try to make it quick clan versus clan guide and show you guys what's the easiest and best way to make points for the sake of this one. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do enjoy my content, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care everyone. Bye guys.